So Jesus, listen to me very carefully now, did not just perform miracles just to meet human needs, but he used this miracle of the bread and other miracles as a means of bringing forth revelation of his identity, his nature, and his purpose. What is the identity that Christ is trying to uncover to the people? Is his identity as deity. He wants to show them that he is God, that he is a son of God. And that is why at the time when they wanted to kill him, he said, why do you want to kill me? Which work have I done that is wrong? They said, no. We're not killing you because of any of your works. We're killing you because you are claiming to be the Son of God. But you're claiming to be the same as God because you're calling him your father. So he said, okay, no problem. Don't bother about what I say. Look at the works I do. Do the works I do not point to the work that's exclusive to deity? The only way I can prove to you that I'm God is by my works, because you will not believe me if I tell you. So Jesus is doing these miracles to reveal his listen to me very carefully, the deity in him, the deity that is hidden in his human vessel. So this miracle of the 5,000, he had worked it. Guess what? After feeding these 5,000 people, next thing he told his disciples that they should go across the lake in the boat, while he went to the top of the mountain to pray. Then, towards the morning, Jesus has cited them from his prayers that they were struggling in their rowing. They were toiling. That's how the Bible uses it. So Jesus leaves his place of prayer and goes to them. As they sight Jesus on the water, they think it's a ghost and they screamed. And then Jesus comforts them and says, "Take courage. It is I. Do not be afraid." Immediately after saying that, he steps into the boat. As he steps into the boat, the storm just instantly ceased. Now, that's where we come to this point where it says, they were amazed. They were flabbergasted. They were stunned. And the Bible says they were stunned simply because they did not take full cognizance of the import of the miracle of the loaves. Let's go back to read it. I'm going somewhere. Just listen to me very carefully. You're going to get a whole lot that will transform your mind today.
Amen. Sorry.
Very good. So I'll show that to you. Oh, sorry. That's something wrong. I'm showing something different. Okay, good. Sister Sylvia, are you there?
Yes, Pastor Sir.
Okay, that 50. Can you read 52 again, please?
52.
Yes.
It said, for they had not gained any insight from the incident of the loaves, but their hearts was hardened.
So, church, okay, if you go back here, it said they were utterly astonished. Why are they astonished? It's simply because they had not gained the required and the necessary insights they should have obtained or gathered from the incident of the loaves. And why was this? Because of a hardness of heart. Why will a man's heart be hardened? Look at the problem. Let me tell you the problem with a whole lot of Christians today. A whole lot of Christians are amazed at miracles. A whole lot of miracles. They are so amazed at miracles. They appreciate it. They thank God. They come and give testimony. You see, on Sunday we had so many testimonies. It's just that we didn't finish it, but my intention was, hold on. All these testimonies is not just to be excited, to be happy, to give thanks. No. There is a spiritual message from every testimony, every miracle, every victory that God has given to you. There is something for you, an insight that you need to gain from every breakthrough, every miracle, every spectacular intervention of God. But you see, the thing is this: many people want gifts from God, but they pay little attention on the giver. Many want what we call the enjoyment of physical blessings, but they neglect what is called the enrichment of spiritual blessings. Every spiritual blessing is meant to bring some kind of enrichment in your spiritual experience, in your spiritual quality. It's meant to bring something, is meant to change. Your perspective is meant to improve. Your insight is meant to increase. Your understanding is meant to be perfected through all these miracles of God. In John chapter 6, when Jesus saw these multitudes thronging him after he had fed the thousands, Jesus Christ said, "Verily, verily, I say unto you, ye seek me, not necessarily because you saw the miracles, but because you did eat of the loaves and were filled." And Jesus Christ said, wait. Don't labor for the meat which perishes. In other words, don't labor for those blessings that are just very temporary, but labor for the meat which endureth unto everlasting life, which the Son of Man will give unto you. For him hath God the Father sealed. In other words, seek for the insight, the wisdom, the understanding that comes from all the miracles I give to you, not just the miracles itself. So now, church, listen to the interesting thing. Look at the very interesting thing about this experience on the boat. This experience that astounded them. I'm going to share a few insights with you. Do you know that there was another incident of a storm on the lake with the disciples before this incident? In that incident, Christ was inside the boat when Christ said, "Let's go to the other side." And while they set out to go, Christ in their boat and some other small boats around them, Christ slept off at the back of the boat. And then this storm came. And then they went and harassed Jesus and said, "Don't you care that we are going to perish?" And of course, Jesus Christ arose. He rebuked the wind. He rebuked the waves of the sea, and everything calmed down. This time around, Jesus, just watch what is happening here. Jesus is not with them. Let me stop. Jesus is not with them. The first incidents, Jesus was with them, right in the boat, and he rebuked them. He told them, why do you need to panic? Why, you have little faith. That's what he told them. But this second time, Jesus was not with them. Jesus was praying for them on the mountain. And then he sends them out after the loaf, after the miracles of the loaf. Now, let me tell you the truth. If you read the Bible very carefully and you study the Bible very carefully, you will see that every time there's a major miracle, the disciples are subjected to one test or the other. The first incident where Christ was with them on the boat, Christ had done a lot of teaching, had taught them so many things. And then after a full day of teaching, he says, let's go on the sea. And on the sea is where their faith is tested through the storm. They failed the test the first time. Now, this second time, Christ had worked miracles by feeding 5,000 and sends them away back into the sea, and he goes to the top of the mountain to pray. And then he sees them toiling because he could see that obviously that the storm was against them. And then he comes towards them and he was doing as if he was going to walk past them. They screamed thinking it was a ghost, and he comes in and the storm ceases and they were astonished. And the Bible says, because their hearts were hardened. Listen to me. Jesus wanted these people. The first time, they saw how he calmed the storm and he calmed the waves of the sea. This second time, they've completely forgotten about that experience with the storm on the lake. They've also forgotten about the miracle of the loaves. Listen to me. If somebody can take 2 loaves of bread and feed 5,000 people, is it normal? Sister Sylvia?
No.
Ce n'est pas normal. Am I correct? How would the French say it?
C'est pas normal.
Ce n'est pas normal. It's not. You can't be normal like that. You can't be normal. So if I interact with you, I'm with you physically, and I see you feed 5,000 people, and that miracle you have walked it through my own hands. Now I'm in trouble. A trouble that threatens my life. And then that same God in human form comes into the boat and calms the sea. Do I need to be astounded? Do I need to be amazed? No, I don't need to, because I know he's God. Why are you amazed? You are amazed that he can do that because you have a limited understanding of his identity. I'm going somewhere. If you don't understand the identity of Christ, it will affect your entire perspective. It will affect your entire disposition. Let me tell you the truth. And this takes a lot of Bible study for you to come to this experience. Every time you have a miracle, you will be subjected to some kind of spiritual test after that. Listen to me. These disciples, you see what has happened? These disciples, before the feeding of the 5,000, I told you, just go and read your Bible. Go and read Mark 5 and the early bit of Mark 6. These disciples, they've just had what I call a complete successful mission. They've healed the sick, they've preached the gospel, they've cast out devils. Isn't it? That's power. That's successful. They are on some kind of spiritual high. When they come, they see Jesus feeding 5,000 people. And guess what? They were part of the God. Jesus used them. They were used in the miracle. They were in the miracle itself, because Jesus shared these 2 loaves amongst 12 people. Then these 12 people shared it amongst 5,000 people. So the miracle was happening right in their hands. That bread, they received it from Jesus. They saw how Jesus blessed the bread and put their hands. This was how they were on a spiritual high. And they said, go to the sea. Let's see your true worth. Go to the sea. And then in the sea, the storm hits them. Listen to me, church. Many of you will discover, if you are observant, once you have one breakthrough, one victory, one success, next thing, await the storm. Await the storm. Listen, every time you have a spiritual success, or a spiritual breakthrough, a spiritual major blessing, if you don't have a a storm coming your way, the whole essence of the storm is just to, what's the word? Strengthen your faith further for the next level. Because if we're just having spiritual blessings, we're just having the niceties of our spirituality, you lay hands, you heal the sick, you cast out devils, and all that. What about you healing the sick? When sickness comes to you, what do you do? What about you ministering to people and people are prospering? When hardship comes to you, what do you do? Are you aware? Listen to me. Are you aware that in Acts chapter 4, after there had been 5,000 people that were converted to the Lord, 5,000 people were converted to the Lord, that is when official persecution of the apostles, Peter, James, and John, started. They had preached the word so powerfully. 5,000 people gave their lives to Christ. They took them. The authorities took them. They took them. They held them in detention for one night. Spoke to them and said, no. You cannot continue to preach this word. Why? 5,000 people. Jesus fed 5,000 people involving the apostles, the disciples. Shortly after that, the people went and faced a storm on the sea that threatened their lives. So why do you think that when you're going through a trial, or a trial that is peculiar to you? It's not peculiar to you. These guys were on a spiritual high and they were subjected to a test. Mama, you want to say something?
Oh.
Mama, you want to say something?
No, sorry.
Okay. Listen, if you are not subjected to those kind of tests and trials, we would just be like pampered spiritual children instead of manifesting as mature sons and daughters of God. Is this making sense, church?
Oh, yes, Pastor.
Now, in this second instance, they failed the test. They failed the test because they lacked what they call spiritual insight. They didn't have receptive hearts. The miracle of the loaves, listen to me, the miracle of the loaves was meant to have an impact. There was an intended impact on their hearts, but they were too excited about it that they were not attentive to the impact it's meant to have on their hearts. Listen to me, as you go through life, when you see, that's why I tell people, please, you can't be a successful Christian without keeping a spiritual journal. I don't know how that can happen. You can't be a successful Christian without keeping a spiritual. In other words, you can't make regular, consistent spiritual progress without keeping a spiritual journal. What is the essence of this spiritual journal? Two things. One, the things that are happening to you, especially with relation to God, you are writing them down. The things that God is telling you, you are writing them down. And I'm going to show you why. Because those things happening to you, the dealings you're having with God, they are meant to keep your heart in a state of, how will I call it? A spiritual enlightenment. Your heart needs to be spiritually enlightened by reason of the experiences you're having on a daily basis. And to prepare you, adequately prepare you for the greater challenges that are coming in the future. You don't know the challenge. Listen to me. This December coming now, many of us don't know the challenge is waiting for us. November has come and gone. We started November with 7 night vigils. 7 night vigils, yes. 7 night vigils. November 1 to November 7. Many of you probably had no clue about the kind of challenges that you are going to face in November. But several of you recorded so many victories in this month of November. So I say, because if you go further, if you read further in Mark chapter 8, there was a second feeding of thousands, and this time 4,000 people. Not the problem. The disciples also had a challenge when he said, feed them. They said, Jesus, there's nowhere to get bread around here. This place is wilderness. Another impediment. It shows you the different kind of impediment. Impediments are strongholds in the mind. They are arguments in your heart that oppose the miraculous. That they oppose the miraculous. They prevent you from, seeing possibilities in a problem. So these disciples are coming up with another problem, another argument, another impeding thoughts. The question I want to ask is, what are the impeding thoughts in your heart? Many of you have a lot too. Many of us have a lot. Pastor, no, it's not possible. I can't do it. No, it's possible. Because there are impeding thoughts in your heart. But my responsibility as a pastor is to help you to dismantle those strongholds of impediments. Do you know who is inside of you? Do you know who these guys were dealing with? They're dealing with God. They are dealing with God. This same God has told you. He told you, go across the lake to the other side. I'll come and meet you. And then a storm hits you. Who do you trust more in? The threat of the storm or the confidence of the one who sent you? God tells you to embark on a project. You start the project, halfway, you get stuck. Who do you have confidence in? The obstacles that are before you, or the God who asked you to embark on that project? Church, we can't continue to be pampered spiritual children. You have to arise and begin to manifest as matured sons and daughters of God. And that maturity cannot come except all the storms that God allows in our lives, we're able to go through those storms victoriously, confidently. Let me show you something. It's 8 o'clock. Okay. Holy Spirit, just guide me here. Okay. Let me say something. There are two things I have to say, and I pray I don't forget them. Number one is this. What was the greatest need of the disciples at that point of the storm on the sea? Who can tell me? What was their need? They needed to be protected. Am I correct? Church, am I correct? At that point, what they needed wasn't bread. It wasn't provision. What they needed was what? Protection. Am I correct?
Yes, they were afraid of drowning.
So what they needed at that time was protection, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The God that gave them provision in terms of bread, is he not able to give them protection? How many of you know that protection and provision are the two main promises from God for his people?
Mm-hmm.
Provision and protection. Now, why are you hearing this word? You need to hear this word because we're in a season where there's meant to be so much fear being disseminated into the world because of the plague, pandemic plague called COVID-19. When we think that, listen, 2 months ago or 3 months ago, the number of deaths as a result of COVID in UK was like, they'll tell you 3, they tell you 7, they tell you 9. Today is back in the hundreds. And not just that, they are telling us that there's a new variant, dangerous variant of this COVID that is out. I'm just asking myself, if I'm not a Christian, I wonder how I'm going to feel. It's so depressing, it's so scary. It's so scary. But you know what? The two major aspects of the covenant we have with God is provision and protection. And you see, if God has protected you in the storm when Christ was in the boat with you, why do you think that Christ, who is on the shore, cannot still protect you while you're on the boat by yourself? Why do you think so? Why do you think so? I am telling you this because, listen to me, church, you are going to hear all kinds of terrible news hereafter. The battle is in your mind. How much confidence can you have to stand and know that the God who protected you in the last 18 months from COVID is able to protect me? Whether they call it Omicron, you know, I hear that Omicron is the 15th alphabet of Greek. They might come with one called Alpha variant, or come with one that is called Omega variant. Whichever one that comes, the God that protected you, that you are still alive, you're still strong. However he protected you, whether it's by vaccine or not by vaccine, it doesn't matter. You are still alive. You have to have confidence in that God. So Bible is saying that these people are expressing amazement simply because they did not gain the insight that they were meant to gain from the miracle of the loaves. Every time God works a miracle with you, please thank him, give him all the praise, but go into your closet and try and seek and understand what is the essence. What is God trying to accomplish? What's God trying to accomplish through this miracle? What is he trying to reveal in his nature? Is he trying to show that he's very faithful? Let me give you a testimony. August this year, we made so much profit in our business. We have I've never made that kind of profit in my entire life since I was born. August this year. It was phenomenal. From August 31st, it appeared as if there was a sharp drop in the business. Suddenly, it's as if doors were just closing. Doors were closing. What's happening? Where's the business? What's going on? But before then, towards the end of August, I had a dream. And I saw that I was in a lot of struggle. And I was looking for a house called number 28. Number 28. And eventually I got to this number 28. And somehow I seemed to find some respite. This was end of August. September, the business was so difficult, exceptionally difficult. And then guess what? On the 28th, a company just called us from the blues. And they wanted to do some good business with us. And guess what? That business pulled through. And they gave us a client that stayed with us for a good couple of, maybe 7 weeks or so. Full price, no commission, and all that. And guess what? That helped us in the month of September. Now,